Good afternoon. This is East Meets West with Julia Zhang. Today, I'm very honored to invite a very professional lawyer in the state of Nevada to be here, Mr. Douglas Crawford.
Oh, thank you
thank you.
I feel honored to even be here, Ms. Zhang.
So, Doug, tell us your background and where did you grow up?
I'm a lucky guy. I grew up on a ranch in Northern California, a real working cattle ranch. I was a cowboy. I wore cowboy boots and a cowboy hat as a child growing up. Okay. And I had a great childhood. We had a small ranch in a little town called Tule Lake, California. We raised potatoes, we raised grain, and we had some cattle. We were a long ways away from the nearest town. I didn't get to go to the store and have a candy bar or get to go play video games or anything like that. For one thing, there weren't any video games in those days.
I cannot connect that background to your lawyer professional.
Well, I learned early that I had only one gift, and that was the gift of gab. I knew that I could talk. And so from then on, I thought, what profession can use the gift of talk?
Okay.
And that's how I decided to be a lawyer.
Oh, okay, cool. So, what brought you to Las Vegas?
That's a good one too. After I left Tule Lake, I joined the United States Army for 3 years. I was stationed in Germany. That was my first exposure to the big wide world outside of my little tiny hometown. And it opened my eyes. It changed my viewpoint on life. And so I thought to myself, I want to be broader than most of my friends who grew up in Tule Lake. Being a ranch guy is good. There's nothing wrong with it, but I wanted to see more of the world. So I came back to the States after spending 3 years in Germany. I went to college in a little town in Oregon called Ashland, Oregon, Southern Oregon State College. Got a degree and then started law school in Sacramento, California, a small private school called McGeorge School of Law. They call it the Harvard of the West Coast.
Oh, wow.
That's what they say. I don't know. But it was a good school. So then in law school, you are paired in your first, law school is 3 years long. You are paired in the first year with another student, and you progress the 3 years and you do various trials and activities together. My trial advocacy partner was a guy named Rich Smith, who was a Las Vegas native. So we graduated from law school in 1984, and then from there, he invited me to Las Vegas. I came to Las Vegas, and in 3 days, I had 3 job offers, and I knew I came to the right place.
That's so hot.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm hot or not. It was more right place, right time. The MGM fire litigation was just kicking into high gear. At that time, that was the biggest litigation in U.S. history. So law firms were looking for bright young lawyers, and I just got to town at the exact right time, got hired right away, and then soon thereafter built my own law practice, which is what I do today.
Okay, cool. So what areas of law do you practice?
After a couple of false starts, I tried some areas of law that I wasn't very good at. Collection law, that's boring, chasing poor people for their money. Civil law. Civil lawyers spend hours and hours in the library, and that's just not me. I wanted to be a litigator, and I am a litigator. So I decided to go into 3 areas of law where you can go to court and make a difference for clients, and that's family law, divorce, child custody, guardianship, adoption, those things. Criminal defense, where you ensure that the prosecutor follows the Constitution when they prosecute a criminal. And personal injury, where you obtain compensation for victims of negligent people.
Oh, cool. So we can talk about those, your practice later on.
Okay.
And so, but right now, there's one thing that I really want to know. What's the number one reason that divorce is high in the United States?
Guess what? Everybody thinks that it is marital infidelity, that it is one spouse cheating on the other. That's not it. People then say, well, it's got to be money. That's not it. The number one cause of divorce in America is what I call hidden agenda.
Hidden agenda.
Hidden agenda. That's where the parties have certain expectations of what is going to happen after the marriage, but they don't share those expectations with the person they're going to marry. So then they fall in love, they get married, and then all of a sudden, after 2-3 years of marriage, they think, wow, this is not the way I thought it was going to be. This person is not my hero, or this person is not my enchanted princess. And so they then become disillusioned with the marriage, and they come to my office and say, Doug, can you get me divorced?
So what's your advice for those people asking for divorce?
Well, that's it. You've got to plan when you're contemplating divorce. It's very important to talk to your lawyer before you inform your spouse. I mean, divorce doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, there's a process where you're disillusioned with your wife or your husband. So before you tell them that you're contemplating divorce, you go to your lawyer and you begin preparing for the case. You will need lots of documentation. You need to know where are the assets, what are the bank account statements, what are the credit card statements, what are the retirement account statements.
So complicated.
It's complicated, but you need to get those together, because what happens is, as soon as you tell the other spouse you want a divorce, all of a sudden those documents disappear mysteriously sometimes. So you have to find them, get them to your lawyer first.
Okay. But you mean like you just shared with us like the couple before their marriage, they have to share their expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest thing. Everyone talks about falling in love, and the falling in love process is, of course, magic. It's the most beautiful feeling a human being can. It's very easy. It's been easy for me. But when, for example, a woman marries a guy in college, and she thinks after he gets his degree, he's going to apply for a job as a stockbroker on Wall Street. And then when he gets out of his degree, he decides he wants to be a fisherman instead. Mm-hmm. And so nobody shared what their goals were. And that destroys marriages.
What kind of a goal do you think they should share? It's about your career goal, or it's about your marriage goal? Or
everything. That's the hard part. Often it's the emotional part, the sexual part. That people have different emotional expectations. For example, the husband thinks, I want to have my wife be my sounding board. When I get home from work after a long day, I want her to listen. Well, if you don't express that to your wife and tell her this is what you're in for if you marry me, and then she doesn't act that way sometimes, and you feel disappointed. And of course, women too.
Okay, got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's your guide. Just remember.
Thank you for
share everything.
Okay, so I know that you also take care of the child custody case. So what do you advise your clients in the child custody case?
Child custody is the most difficult issue in family law. Mm-hmm. When you mess with somebody's money, that's one thing. When you mess with their property, that's another thing. But if you start threatening someone to take away their children, they get very angry. So it's complicated.
Okay, I understand. So you always show us your professional side. So after a short break, I want to see your another side.
Oh, I've got all
kinds
of sides.
In your daily life.
Thank you. I have all kinds of sides.
Okay, this is East Miss West with Julia Zhang. Let's have a short break, then come back. Thank you for watching.